The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Soccer to the Max. I am your host, Sean Garmer, and here with me, of course, my two awesome co-hosts, Rachael and McKriger. How are you?
Hello. It's a good day.
And Mr. Erik Watkins.
I feel like a very good day. I feel like I need to be wearing something purple and include that into more of my repertoire. And B, quick shout out to the Baltimore Blast, repeating as MASL champions, taking the Ron Newman Cup in style over Soleste Sonora again. Big ups to them.
See, you even get MASL coverage on the show. So that's why you got to listen, right? You get every kind of U.S. soccer coverage in here. So speaking of that, we'll of course talk about MLS Week 7, as we've been doing every week. We have the World Cup bid 2026 is official now. We'll get into that with some interesting decisions made between the three confederations there. The National Women's Soccer League has officially begun, and Rachael and I watched most of the games, if not all of them. So we'll get into talking about that. And the USL also announced their own regional television network. That was pretty interesting to find out here on Wednesday. So lots to get into from all parts of the U.S. soccer landscape that I guess you can cover here. But the MLS. Very interesting week. We had David Villa hitting a 50-yard freaking long shot to help NYCFC get their win. Yeah, I mean, I should commend the MLS for actually at least letting their players be with their families on Easter and scheduling all the games so that they don't interfere with that. NYCFC, of course, wins 2-0 against Philadelphia. Keep rolling, I guess. What'd you see, Erik?
Well, I mean, outside of that via half luck, half masterpiece shot, I really think NYCFC overall is finding their stride. I mean, Vieira, of course, had to do a little bit of tinkering, but I'm seeing more Pirlo pushing forward, Maxi Morales playing closer to almost a leading wing position, and rocking on. I feel bad for Philadelphia in a sense, but nothing really too much that they could have avoided in that one.
Philadelphia's kind of been this weird team all season so far. They've just, when they do well, it's the team's actually playing pretty cohesively. Other than that, they've not had the greatest of seasons so far, honestly. But hey, you know what? Still got a long way to go. Speaking of a team that has had a weird season itself, Colorado again in the news. Last week it was a trade. This week it's Tim Howard suspended for 3 games because he yelled obscenities at a fan after a fan wouldn't stop badgering him either. The MLS Players Union came out and said the MLS did not do their part in sanction the fans at all. I felt like the Players Union was right in that, look, you've got a fan policy as well. They were obviously going past that policy. And where do you guys kind of fall on that, Rachael? I mean, obviously fans are going to be unruly. You got to be professional, but there's got to be a line, right?
Yeah, and I mean, if they have a fan policy. They need to stick by it. If they're not going to, well then you can't fully blame Tim Howard. I agree with what you say in the stance of, you're a professional, act professional, and then you have to look at Tim's age and, what, Tim is 34 now? Like, come on now, you shouldn't be acting like that. But it also doesn't help when you've got a fan screaming God knows what at you.
Yeah, he wasn't having the best game last week either. So
No, and this week it doesn't help that Jared Watts decided to get a red card.
Oh, that was a bit brutal.
Yeah. Real Salt Lake winning, and going down a man never helps you. So, and at home again. So, not good for Colorado. I mean, Erik, I don't know much to say here, but at least they replaced Jeff Cassar, and so far, Mike Pecky getting the wins.
Well, Pecky's getting the win, but really, the tide didn't turn for RSL until that red card. In my mind, converting a penalty, then taking advantage, being up a man, and getting what were like clinical scoring opportunities to set up the winner, that doesn't happen. Hey, you're talking about a 1-0 Rapids win right now. And kind of circling back to the Tim Howard situation, Rachel's right really on both ends. If MLS has a fan policy, it needs to be enforced. If you're going to discipline the player, which for Tim Howard, where he is, not just age, but starting to become one of the bigger faces of the league still, especially since his return. Yeah.
And he's got that commercial.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a bit of a black mark. But at the same time, the fans doing the same thing. I mean, I had to listen to the audio from that clip 5 or 6 times to even figure out what was being said on both sides, which didn't help matters, but once I finally understood it, and it's like, hey, whoa, there were lines crossed on both sides. Now, granted, was the situation really extreme? No, but something could have been done. I can go back to a situation in Australia where an opposing fan threw a banana on the field at a player. Next thing you know, she was not only kicked out, but her team membership was revoked for life. That's a good move.
That's a racism thing, though.
It is, but what I'm saying is, while these are different situations, my point is the league acted, the team acted, and did something against that fan. If you're going to act against the player, you need to act against the fan as well.
Especially if the fans should be visible, because he's right there at the ropes yelling at him.
Yes, right behind the goal line. So personally, if you're going to sit Howard down for 3 matches, then that fan needs to be out for a home match or 2. Simple as that.
You think that's fair, Rachel? Just kick him out for 2 games? And
I'd say kick him out for as long as Howard's out.
That seems fair. It's just, I hope they do something, because I'm glad the Players Union actually came out and said something like that, because MLS needs to be held accountable, because this has happened before and they didn't do anything. This still happens sometimes where Toronto FC fans throw stuff at opposing players when they're about to kick corners and that kind of thing, and they don't do anything. They need to be more consistent about this. Yes, I understand, again, players are professional, and trust me, I'm the first one to go on that banner of, look, you're the one getting paid the big bucks here. You got to learn to close your mouth. But sometimes, you're not having the greatest of days. You have somebody yelling at you that doesn't understand what you're going through. They're upset about the team losing. You're upset about the team losing. Stuff's going to be said, but there's no need to be yelling obscenities at each other. It's kind of dumb. Seriously.
Exactly.
Doesn't help anyone.
I'd be like, hey, you put on these gloves in this jersey, you play keeper for this match, and see how you do.
Well, since we're on the red card train, I have no idea, and I don't know. I'm kind of sort of offended because Javon Watson played for FC Dallas for a while, and he was actually pretty good for FC Dallas. I have no idea where his head was at during this game against Chicago. In about 7 minutes, he goes and gets 2 yellows.
Yep.
Dude.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Those were pretty blatant yellows, especially that second one. It's like
the first one where he elbows him in the face, and he's sitting there going, "Oh, I didn't do anything." You elbowed him in the face. I mean,
and the second one, it's like, okay. Oh, there's a challenge. Hey, wait a minute. Why is that guy flying through the air? This like comes his hands up. It's like, hey, whoa, what? No.
Yeah, I didn't just undercut him and make him, fly through the air or anything. Just...
He's like, I don't know. It was magic. He landed there. I was dead at the time.
He just came out. He just came out in front of me. I didn't see him. I swear.
Yeah. You know what was magic though, Rachel?
What's
Our
that?
good friend, Bastian Schweinsteiger, scoring again.
Schweinsteiger.
He cannot be stopped.
You set me up yet again.
Erik, my shirt came in.
Yes. You see.
There you go.
It's magic. It's brewing.
I still hate myself. I still hate myself for buying it.
But why? It is good. Let the Schweinsteiger gently caress you. Let the magic flow through. This is a process, Rachel. I'm
going to use a thing I learned from Archer, phrasing.
The goal was pretty sweet, though. I will say that for Mr. Schweinsteiger. And Chicago puts 2 more past a hapless New England, and they get a win. They keep flying, man. I mean, bring in the big guy. Bring in the German and win.
I'm impressed. Things are at least so far going according to plan. And as an extra side note, this is a revolution that I expected to see come the beginning of this season.
Yeah, they didn't. I mean, like when you get shell-shocked within about 7 minutes that you're down a man, it seemed like they just really never recovered after that. And kudos to Chicago for not letting up either. David Accam comes in and immediately an assist for a goal. I mean, I don't think you can ask for anything better, honestly. And watch out for Chicago. We might be talking about them making some noise come playoff time, honestly. But a guy that keeps making noise, a guy on your team that continues to be talked about for other teams come a certain transfer window. That price tag just went a little higher because he helped Orlando win against the Galaxy.
Yes, but Sean, remember, we don't talk about the T word or the TW phrase in these situations. It's just not now. We're going to put that way back in the back of our minds. We're not going to think about that right now. We're going to think about that.
What's the T word?
What's
the T word?
Nope. Not going to say it. Nope.
But
not now. Not now. Times are too good. We now opened up our brand new, beautiful stadium with 4 wins. This one kind of got a little bit hairy towards the last few minutes, but no. Kyle Aaron is just fine, saving the day right where he belongs. And I'm not going to think otherwise.
What's going on with the Galaxy, Rachel?
The Galaxy are really missing Sebastian Leggett. You wouldn't think that because he's such a young player, but it's clear. And they're missing Jossie. They're missing both of those guys. Or I should say they're missing Jossie as the Jossie's artist that he used to be.
And Gio Dos Santos doesn't look very good either. So.
No.
He's practically disappeared.
I mean, it helps to certainly have your full core there. I think when you put too much, perhaps when he can't be the focal point, right? Maybe he's better when he's the second guy or he's the guy getting the ball. And that's another thing too. You don't have a guy giving him service. So I mean, Alessandrini looked great in that game, but that was about the only Galaxy player I could really tell you that played well. And it was also a different guy from minute 1 to 70 to minute 70 to 90. I felt like I was watching a completely different team. I don't know what happened. The switch turned on or what, but that was weird, certainly.
It really was, and it was kind of good to see them try their hardest and be able to create long strings of pressure like that, but just no. Our new stadium is slowly developing into a fortress, and they just learned the hard way.
I'm going to get just into a few other games here, then we're just going to go rapid fire at the end. Montreal, they haven't been playing well because a certain Ignacio Piatti has not been there. Ignacio Piatti comes back, and immediately Montreal, much different team. This dude was all over everything. He scores the penalty. His presence is immediately felt when he's on the field. Like, guys couldn't stop him. This dude is in his late 30s, and he still plays like he's a youngin'. It's amazing what a gulf in class there still is between Piatti and so many players in the league. Every time I watch him, it's amazing, honestly. And he just really makes that. You could honestly make a case where you got to put him up there for one of the few, like that small number of players that real MVP right there, making that team go by himself, is Mr. Piatti.
I mean, I have to agree. And for large chunks of that match, it was looking like for Atlanta, no Joseph Martinez, no problem. But, I mean, my God. Piatti, he was just beyond, like, being a pest. And, I mean, is he trying to make a move to have consideration to be on the MLS All-Star team? If so, well, he's starting to make a damn good case for it.
Yeah, and Montreal scores late, right at the end, too. They really shouldn't have. That game should have been a draw, but Atlanta lets one sneak by and lose points. Very much like FC Dallas.
Live by the sword, die by the sword. But if I could contact Jean, I want to say Boy, could be Boyce, that does the Chart Party YouTube videos for SB Nation and say, hey, what are the odds of FC Dallas losing like this? What, now, twice in a row in big matches? I mean, that could be something brewing there, at least for some sort of consolation.
Ativa Harris, what are you doing? The ball is right in front of you. All you had to do was kick it away. And it just goes right by you.
He got confused. I don't know why you get confused in that situation, but he just got confused. I mean, come on. Let's give him some credit. Like you've ever had a brain fart in a critical pressure situation before.
I think we've all had brain farts.
Alrighty then. Can you just give him, like, chalk it up and just say that's his one? Now, if it happens again, that's a problem.
Just kiss and make up.
I just hate losing points like that when you really don't. I mean, at least it's still a draw. It's not a loss, but still makes me sad. Speaking of, Houston also couldn't. Minnesota basically drew in this game because Houston just absolutely lost themselves for.
I'm sorry. What the hell happened? I look at that and I'm thinking, okay, Kubo Torres, he's doing what Kubo Torres does, being a beast. Houston's up 2-0.
Both the Honduran players score. I mean...
Exactly. And I'm prepared to say, oh, times aren't good in Minnesota. The Twins suck. The Wild are down 0-2. I say Bruce Boudreaux should probably be fired after next season. And, of course, everything going on with Minnesota United. And then that magical 15 minutes happens where Houston had a massive brain fart. And Minnesota realized, hey, wait a minute. We are top-flight professional soccer players. We can do this. And then I blink and it's 2-2. Yeah.
Christian Martinez again, man. That guy. Watch, Bruce Arena. Dial up for the national team already. Just dial it.
Yeah, he better be, because between everything that's happened with Minnesota sports in the last 2 to 3 weeks, yeah, it ain't pretty.
No, but hey, you get the point. You're not losing, and that's good for Minnesota right now. They need any point they can get.
Yeah, they need any point, and they need any team not losing. And small shout out to Minnesota Duluth. Even though I'm a Denver fan, you at least got to the national championship game.
Hey, that's just a challenge right there to get through that Frozen Four and get the championship game. So
exactly, but Denver is Denver, so ha ha ha.
So let's. I'm gonna rapidly just go through these scores, and then whatever you want to say, and then we'll get out of here. Vancouver beats Seattle 2-1. Freddie Montero had a fantastic goal in that one. Columbus winds up beating Toronto 2-1 because Michael Bradley has a brain fart on a corner.
It was a theme for this week.
And Sporting KC gets a big win against Portland, settling things back into a big mix in the Western Conference there with a 1-0 win over Portland.
Welcome back, Benny Feilhaber.
And the DC United get blanked again by the Red Bulls. So,
hey, going back to KC and Portland, Dom Dwyer put in an Instagram post a couple hours before the game that he loves playing at Providence Park, and I think we know why.
Yeah, I saw that, and I'm like, maybe that's not such a good idea, because that could get Portland mad, and then I saw that, and I was like, yeah, never mind. Never mind. That pretty much backed it up.
Gotta have that confidence, man.
Mm-hmm.
If you're scoring those goals, have the confidence to put it out there. So
yeah, at least somebody's scoring goals. Jesus Christ.
Well, DC United was scoring goals for a while.
Emphasis on was.
They had chances in this game. It wasn't like they just got totally blanked.
Yes, but.
And I forget his name, the Relu guy that plays next to BWP. He's got a lot of intangibles, but man, he's almost like Dominic Oduro. When it gets in that final third, it's like he doesn't know what to do. Luckily, he has somebody to bail him out next to him, but goodness.
They still need to fix that partnership, though.
Yeah, and even when Verone comes back, but he's still getting adjusted to the league and everything. So, I mean, not everybody is Mr. Schweinsteiger just getting it from day one. Ha!
Yeah, but it's no. I have effort, yes, but execution, no. I must still teach you the ways of the Schweinsteiger.
Well, I'm glad that this is going to be an ongoing thing on this show.
Mm-hmm. It will. There's still time.
We gotta have a gimmick, right? So why not?
Or catchphrase.
Good on Vancouver for getting the first one in the Cascadia, and that's going to end it here for our recap of MLS. There is an early game on Wednesday, so perhaps if we do a midweek show, we'll already be talking about a New England and San Jose game on Wednesday.
Oh, dear. I can see why they put that on a Wednesday.
It could be. San Jose has been really good this year, so it could be a good game. I wouldn't totally hate on it. But let's get on something that the Mexican critics were certainly hating on. This 2026 World Cup bid. 60, 10, and 10. Tell me how that happens.
Ugh.
Am I the only one that thinks Canada got the shaft?
Oh no, I totally agree.
Oh, good.
Wait, why didn't Mexico get the shaft?
Sean, how many times has Mexico hosted the World Cup?
I'm just pointing this out that if we're gonna have
I'm serious. They hosted it in 70. When Colombia was set to host it in 86, they had their issues. FIFA opened it up for bids again. Who got the 86 World Cup? Mexico. I ain't crying that they're only getting 10 matches.
Well, I mean, I just think that it should have been a little bit more fair, Maybe even 20 and 20. I mean,
the U.S. would not have allowed just only hosting half of the matches and giving 20 apiece. Now, if we're talking...
It's not about allowing. They're helping you.
Oh, yeah, only because, well, look at our reputation with the U.S. We could immediately zip it down, whip it out, and say, hey, remember 94? You remember those attendance records? We can break that. Bam. Numbers don't lie in this case.
That's true. Rachel, you think it's unfair, though, or...
I can see why Mexico only got 10. But I agree. I think Canada got totally shafted.
Now, see, if you wanted to do something with equitable, why not a 50-20-10 situation? I would have been down with that.
I'd have been down with that, too. I think Canada certainly deserves... I mean, they have their own host of MLS teams. They've proven that with the Women's World Cup that there is... And even with the MLS teams, how well they do, even when they're losing, the fans come out for it. You're going to have the world on a platter here with 3 countries hosting it. You're going to have everybody coming in. I don't see why you wouldn't let Canada have some more games, but I don't know. The U.S. must have pulled something. Maybe the U.S. said, hey, those cars that we send your way, maybe we'll start thinking about not sending them over there, and who knows. But
I mean, with cars, yeah, but if I'm Canada, it's like, yeah, Vermont's not the only place that makes maple syrup, Just saying. Plus, we see you drinking our Canadian beer. Yeah, we're not ignoring that. Sure, you got your American cheese, but there's some things. Just saying.
It's also like a whole host of American beers.
Yeah, okay, if we had our own American beers and we would just stick to that, then why do places still sell stuff like Molson?
Because they gotta make money off of it?
Okay, then. You see? Come on now. I know what I'm talking about when it comes to my booze.
Well, yeah. I can't, if we had a booze podcast, Erik would be the one on that thing. I could not, I drink one every, 2 weeks or something. I can't compare to that at all. So, I think the U.S. also kind of said that they're not going to go for we're going to build a bunch of new stadiums just for the World Cup. We're going to open it up to more stadiums than ever before. So do you think maybe we'll see some MLS stadiums get used for some of the games, or are we talking about all the NFL stadiums are now in play, or what do you think he was talking about?
I would lean personally more towards the NFL stadiums being in play, because if you look at some of the MLS stadiums and some of the SSS we have here, they're not really even ideal size that you would want for, something like the World Cup. And as I said before, we're looking at 94 and saying, hey, for a 24-team tournament, that's still the highest attended World Cup ever. And in part, that was due to a lot of NFL and big college stadia. I think it would be easier to adapt the kind of technology needed for a proper football pitch and whatever FIFA demands in an NFL stadium where you could actually get multiple uses out of it rather than putting the effort and money into building more SSS.
Or bigger SSS, because, like you said, 25,000 probably not cutting it, but...
Exactly. I mean, if a place like San Diego gets their way and turns Qualcomm into a 40,000 SSS, that's the kind of level you're talking that you would need nationwide.
Yeah, I would agree. Rachel, I mean, are you... what do you think is gonna happen here? Are we seeing like more historic locations gonna get used? Are we seeing like, the Superdome is all of a sudden gonna be a place where we see a World Cup game?
I think it's going to be more like these NFL stadiums because that's what they used during the Copa America and the Gold Cup. And they attracted large crowds. Like, there were a lot of Copa matches that were sold out.
Yeah, especially being such a Latin community almost everywhere now. You get certain teams going certain places, you're going to get sellouts. I mean, and let's be honest though, the highest crowds ever. Let's think about this. It's so much easier for people to come to the United States than it is for people to go to other places around the world.
Yup.
So, that kind of also is something we got to look at too. It's not like you have all these people wanting to go to Germany, whereas you get all these people just go, oh, let's go to the U.S. for some games.
Yeah, Now, I'm going to apologize in advance, because I know what I'm going to say is going to be kind of weird. But Detroit hosted a World Cup match, a couple of them, quite successfully.
Wait, what's wrong with the Silverdome having soccer matches?
I'm not saying nothing was
huge.
wrong with. I'm not saying nothing was wrong with it, especially the Silverdome, and it worked out well, and it added a little bit of extra history to the World Cup. I just mean the Aryan city that was then not so bad, but now it's a completely different animal, Detroit.
I don't know that they're really going to be thinking about that kind of thing when the World Cup comes, because think about all these places when you go to a Brazil, an Africa.
But this kind of furthers my point. The fact that you can have, like, say if they wanted to use Ford Field, the fact if you host a couple World Cup matches just like in a group stage, you could still sell that place out, even though it's Detroit. We have that card up our sleeve that, as you said, hardly anybody else has internationally.
Yeah, plus, I mean, you'll get some people that are going to want to go to watch the games in Canada or whatever, but I don't know how many are. That's another thing, too. It's how easy is it going to be for people to go from Canada, Mexico to the U.S. to watch these matches? Let's make it easier on them by having more games in the U.S., too.
Well, Canada also hosted a World Cup last year. So, I mean, they're not incapable of it.
Oh,
I agree.
And that's why I say they should have gotten a bigger piece, not as big of a piece but as the U.S., but a bigger piece of this World Cup pie as part of this bid. Because they are capable, they're a cool place. Justin Trudeau was the man. He's got a lot of good stuff going on. Hey, look, as I've said before, if you're a nation that can elect your leader who can both fall down a flight of stairs as a party trick and give a rudimentary explanation of quantum computing, you're doing something right in my book.
Well, after giving that explanation, I don't know what else to say. So, I think we're going to move on here to the NWSL debut on a national stage, I guess you could call it, with being on Lifetime. And this new deal with Go90 from Verizon's free streaming thing that they have that's only on phones for now.
Oh my god.
Supposedly they're going to allow you to be able to watch it on the desktop website, but we'll see how that works. Let me just outline this for people who don't know. Go90 it's a free service. You get it on Android or iOS. You can cast it to your TV with Chromecast. They are supposedly going to try to get it on Yahoo and AOL, which Verizon owns, so that you can use the Yahoo app to be able to watch it, which would open it up to gaming systems and Roku and that kind of thing. But let's see how long it takes for that to happen, because right now the NWSL doesn't even have an app for Android to be able to watch games through their own website.
Yeah, and personally with me, especially at this time of year where I could, throughout the course of a day, literally watch 5 games in about 3 or 4 different sports, I'm going to need a second screen. And while Go90 is emerging, I will applaud Verizon for what they're trying to do with it for the past couple of years. No, it's not enough.
It's smart for them to go free, right? Not charging. I mean, they could have charged. They could have charged $10 or $20.
Yeah, their biggest benefit is going free, and especially with dangling the carrot of like certain local NFL games, now NWSL. I like where their head's at, and I'm hoping because they own Yahoo and AOL, and they have internet service like with Fios, that they would want to expand this to desktops and other devices faster to kind of maintain that edge. But then again, it is Verizon, so I don't know how many times they're going to be able to truly drop the mic.
Rachel, I think what we got to see here is at least we got to see you can see all the games, so that's a plus. But supposedly an interview that they did with Jonathan Tenenwald is that they got a lot of money from Verizon to do Go90 instead of doing what the CONCACAF Champions League does with Facebook, or going back to YouTube. Obviously, from the money part, that's smart, but should they have gone with a service that's more well known, that's more available?
Probably not, because I think they would have actually charged if they had done that.
Yeah, I think
if they get all the kinks figured out, then it'll be good.
Yeah, I mean, it is a plus that you don't have to go and pay like you do for MLS Live, but one of the drawbacks is you don't get the condensed games. So if you're not around live watching, or you don't have a lot of time, right now the only way you can watch these games is live or on demand, and you have to watch the whole thing. So hopefully that's something that they'll figure out that is kind of a need. But obviously you also have to have people. I'll be honest, Go90 apparently said 2 years ago that they were going to be putting this on different things, and I guess there's not enough demand for them to have other apps at this point. So we'll have to see how big the attention gets for this. But I do think that one of the things that hurts it is, we've seen how Twitter and all this stuff, you make a GIF of a goal, or you make like a collage of pictures, and it draws people in. You can't do that with Go90 because it's not on various apps where you can just screen grab. So,
well, I think Verizon's kind of missing the boat. They want to keep it as their baby, which I do understand, but if they could expand or maybe partner with a couple different companies, that would be tremendous, just to kind of build and help expand that app. Because as you said, with Twitter, the NFL actually had to shut teams down from having in-game highlights because that was such a big thing, and they thought, well, we're paying $10 million for them, or we're getting $10 million for them for Thursday night games. We need to kind of fix that. Lo and behold, they get now $50 million from Amazon, which is a rant for another show. But the fact that it's just such easier access, regardless of where you are, what device you're using, it's blown up that big. Verizon needs to kind of do a similar thing with Go90. And again, I hope that they have these partnerships with these capabilities and can expand faster than really, I guess, they care to. Because in the long term, it will be beneficial.
Well, I will say that if you... Well, we're about to talk about the games, I swear. If you like what you hear here where we talk about the games and you think anything that you heard was interesting, 48 hours after the games air, you can go on the NWSL website or the NWSL app on iOS and watch the games for free. And you can also go on Lifetime's app or on their website and watch the game of the week after it airs, or live if you're around to watch it. So, provided you have the cable provider and all that kind of stuff. So, they do have, at least they're thinking about it, and they were making sure, even though it was 2 days before the season started, making sure they had that option, and it was pretty awesome to be able to have that ability to watch these games when they came on. Now, speaking of the games themselves, Rachel, I didn't know about this Lifetime app that existed, so I didn't get to watch that game. But for being the national game of the week and everything, did it feel big to you? Do you think that mission was accomplished there? And what did you think about Portland blanking Orlando 2-0?
I thought the setup that Lifetime TV had, they had a really great intro. They had Julie Foudy there, which, I mean, Julie Foudy makes everything better. And they had a really good team there. It felt big. It definitely felt like they got the job done. And I'm excited to see them go to other places. I think they had an easier time, though, because Portland had a crowd of like 17,000. And they play at Providence Park, which can hold a lot of people. Next week, they're going to be in Maryland for the Washington Spirit. Doesn't really hold as many people, doesn't really draw as big of a crowd, so I'm excited to see what they do there, how they deal with that. But I still feel like it's going to be big and they're going to have a good setup for it. But for the match, I thought Portland did everything right. I think Portland played a very offensive, attacking-minded game, and Orlando did too, until not Christine Sinclair, Nadia Nadim buried the first goal on a penalty kick. After that, Orlando went straight to a defensive game. For Portland, they just kept pushing and pushing, and then Christine Sinclair got her goal. Poor Allie Long. She had 2 potential goals that were both called offsides, but she needs to know her runs. She needs to know her pace, but those were 2 really good calls by the referee.
Yeah, Portland looking good in that first game. Now, the rest of these games were available on the Go90 app, the other 4. And Houston looked dominating against the Chicago Red Stars. Quite honestly, the Rachel Daly goal was awesome. Number 1. And then, and then the celebration afterwards too with the golfing thing. It's great. I don't know. It Houston looked like a different class above Chicago. In what I saw, Chicago couldn't really do anything.
And that's saying something because they're doing it without Carly Lloyd and Morgan Bryan right now.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I kind of saw in quite a few of these games. Not to say that they weren't competitive, but just there was one team that was above the other. And I think you're going to get that as kind of the season starts, and maybe there's one team that's ready to go and the other one's not, and they're still kind of getting used to each other and everything. Like the game that was they had today. Boston and why can't I remember? It's KC. Sydney Leroux comes back, scores. Amy Rodriguez scores, and then she gets hurt, sadly. But KC looked absolutely way better than Boston in this game, and they figured out how to close down Miss Lavelle pretty well, and seems like they couldn't really get anything going on that end.
And Boston's still learning because they have a whole new group of players. I want to give a shout out to Angela Salem. I actually know her pretty well. She plays for the Boston Breakers, so shout out to her for starting today. Boston's still regrouping, trying to learn together. They got a lot of players in the draft. They got Megan Oyster in a trade. They're still trying to regroup, but man, Kansas City looked good. And I think anytime you have Becky Sauerbrunn on your team, too, you're going to look good.
Oh, yeah, she was clogging up almost everything for any time Boston really didn't get anything going until about, 10 minutes left when KC was at that point where just kind of like, okay, we're trying to just ride out this game. And, they had a few close ones, but I don't know her name, but I think it's Anonoku or some. She came in as a sub. She looked really good for Boston there towards the end. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to remember a lot of these first names. Miss Leone, she was awesome for Boston. They couldn't really get a handle on her pretty well until she went out, and then all of a sudden, the only player that they had going forward doing anything for Boston, they kind of wilted a bit until, like I said, KC was sort of getting into that. Okay, let's just finish this out. I really hope Amy Rodriguez is okay. Have they said anything on what her status is?
No, I haven't seen anything on their Twitter. I'll check again, but I don't think so. But another game that I got to see this weekend was the lone draw of NWSL Week 1 with oh my gosh, I'm blanking. The Seattle. Yep, Seattle Reign and Sky Blue FC. I think Sky Blue looked a lot better than Seattle, and that's saying something because Seattle was at home, and Seattle has a lot of world-class players. And, I mean, Megan Rapinoe's Megan Rapinoe. She's always going to bury a penalty kick. But Seattle came out in the second half playing very attack-minded, but, I mean, every chance. I mean, Sam Kerr and Sarah Killion were awesome for Sky Blue FC, and Kelly O'Hara was great. It just, I don't understand national team wise how Jill Ellis can look at Kelly O'Hara, who's playing in a left striker position, and put her as a right back. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's always that disconnect sometimes with the manager of the national team, what they want for that player, and then what they, the regular coach that sees them every day and sees what their strengths are wants for that player. I mean, you'd hope that, she gets on it eventually, but, we saw with Jurgen too, right, where he played guys in the way he wanted. And it's
Fabian Johnson.
Why? Yeah, Fabian Johnson. Why? I think the only game we haven't talked about is North Carolina. The Courage who was playing without their coach, he was suspended for this game because of the red card he got in the semifinals of the previous season. But it was okay because North Carolina Courage, once again, even though it was only a 1-0 game, honestly, North Carolina looked way better than the Spirit.
They looked great. And I think a lot of the credit has to go to Sam Mewis. She's such a leader on the team now, and she's the perfect. I think I said it in our group message. She's the perfect mixture of an offensive and defensive midfielder, height-wise and just skill-wise. She is just so good to watch. And it was actually nice to see her play against her sister, Christy Mewis.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. And you had Dabinia look really good in this game. And Jessica McDonald. And props to Stephanie Lobb, though. 8 saves. She had to do everything she could to keep it to 1-0.
And I think that's going to be her role throughout most of the season. I mean, Crystal Dunn's gone, Allie Krieger's gone, Caprice Didisco is still recovering from an ACL injury. Megan Oyster's gone. The Washington Spirit lost a lot of players, and in my humble opinion, they didn't really make well for bringing new players in. I think Christy Mewis was a great addition, but you have to find someone more than just Christy Mewis. I mean, Boston lost their match, but still, Rose Lavelle, Megan Oyster, Angela Salem, all of these different players, they brought in a lot of very talented players. Washington, I think Steph's going to have a very frustrating season.
So to kind of wrap it up, going back to what we talked last week, and obviously a big point during that game too. Marta signed by Orlando. We're gonna see her next week probably. Do you feel like that game's different if she was playing?
If Marta's playing?
If Marta was playing in that Portland game, you think it's much different?
Yeah, I would think so, because I even said it. You hate to say it, but it was very visible that Alex Morgan's presence was missed. I think Jasmine Spencer is a very good forward, but she's not tall at all. She's only 5'1", and Marta's not tall either. She's 5'5", but she just has the skill to make up for it. I don't think Jasmine Spencer is quite there yet. I think Danica Evans should have went in that match a lot sooner for Jasmine Spencer, but I'm not Tom Sermani. I'm not going to make that decision. But I think if Marta was in that match, I think it would have been a lot closer. I think, backtracking a bit, going to that match, everyone's talking about how Portland's such a stacked team, and they are. Allie Long, Klingenberg, Christine Sinclair, talent upon talent upon talent, but they didn't score until I think like the 32nd minute. If you've got all this talent and you're hyping this team up so much, you'd think they'd be able to score a lot faster. I think if Marta was there for Orlando, though, I thought that would have been a different game. I'm excited for the match, though, next week, because not only is that the NWSL's Lifetime Game of the Week, it's also Miss Allie Krieger's return to the Washington Spirit grounds, and also Ashlyn Harris used to play for the Washington Spirit, so it's a big discombobulated homecoming.
Yeah, certainly. And I mean, all eyes are going to be on Marta for that one and see how she goes. So, I got to watch this for the first, this week. First time ever kind of seeing NWSL. I enjoyed what I saw. I didn't think any of the games were, boring or anything like that. They all had some kind of action going, and a few of them were back and forth. I think for anybody that's sort of, you're saying, okay, you're hearing us talk about this, going into next week or what you saw from this week, you're saying, are you sort of are you excited about the league's prospects after week one, or where do you sit after this first week?
I think the league still has a ways to go. I think Go 90 still has a ways to go.
Oh, definitely.
But I think the NWSL on Lifetime is such a great step, and I think they're doing everything right, and there's only more to add. I mean, they had Sunil Gulati on their halftime show too. You get people like that. And I think I've been saying this, and I will continue to say this, I think the NWSL needs more support from the MLS. And if that happens, then fireworks can go off.
Yep, ESPN, Lifetime, they are, both Disney products. So at least get some advertising for the NWSL Lifetime Game of the Week or whatever. Maybe you don't want to advertise Go 90, and I get that, but hey, let's get some of that in there, especially with some of these teams. Like KC, they play at Phillips Park. Like you said, Portland plays at Providence Park. Like, give them a little bit of help. You definitely need this to succeed for You need both MLS and NWSL to be doing well. The last thing we got to talk about here, USL, they have their own television network that they announced on Wednesday. It's a set of regional networks here that, so it goes, there's a Bethlehem for the Bethlehem Steel, the Charleston Battery have something in Charleston. So all these like local, it'll be on the like My Network TVs and the CWs and your Fox, that station that's on your antenna you might have to find. It might be a little bit difficult to find, It's not going to be totally always accessible, but if you can watch it, it's more way to watch soccer. I mean, I think definitely you should be supporting your local team here. I mean, Tampa Bay's on it. I don't know if you can watch that, Erik, but
well, we unfortunately are a little bit out of Tampa Bay's range, but I do have to give the USL a little kudos for at least establishing something like this in place, because even with the NASL, last year, CBS Sports Network, this year, they're showing some matches on beIN Sports, which I still want to curse out Comcast for not having beIN and HD anymore, and even locally with the Armada, who off to a pretty good start, thankfully, even though sadly only 3,500 fans were out at the last match, which is kind of a bummer.
Hey, but they're beating Edmonton, so that's what matters.
Yes, that very, very big, and I still have to give Zach Steinberger a pretty big hug, so that mission is still ongoing. But with that, they're kind of doing a similar thing to where if matches aren't nationally televised, they're on a local digital network called This. I don't know if it's just locally here in Jacksonville or if they have other affiliates nationwide. So it's a good step to at least keeping the USL relevant, especially since now they are, along with NASL being Division II league, and hopefully this will mean bigger things TV-wise going next season. Maybe instead of just the 17, they could work and secure deals for all 30 teams. That would be another good move.
I think it might be because they're MLS-owned teams. It may fall under a different jurisdiction there.
Well, I mean, then have something with your big MLS parent club and try to work out some sort of contract, because, I mean, clearly they're doing the right thing in putting together these teams since they're not doing the reserve division. So give a little bit more local exposure, maybe not on big networks like for Red Bulls or NYCFC. Yeah, maybe you can't put them on Yes or on MSG, but you can at least put them...
I mean, to be fair, if you're going to be owned by an MLS team, then that team's games should be shown on MLS Live, but that's just me.
Yeah, that would also be perfect. I completely agree with that.
I thought they were... so the USL has no kind of streaming deal, right? I thought they were on ESPN
YouTube.
3 or... Oh, YouTube.
Yeah,
okay.
YouTube, but that's pretty much it. I mean, don't get me started about how far YouTube is going with certain leagues and streaming. But, yeah, that... I mean, they're at least doing something good for these leagues and these communities.
What do you think, Rachel? Do you like this move by USL, or would you want them to be doing something more? I guess where we could see it, because this is very, very low. I mean, we talk about MLS having these regional deals still, and that kind of needs to start going away. USL just hunkered down and did it even more regional.
I think you kind of have to just deal with it, because the USL isn't that big. I mean, I mean, it's just one of those things. Yeah, I guess you just kind of have to deal with it until the USL does get big. Yes, they got that second division status, but that really hasn't changed much.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. It's a nice little novelty to be like, oh, there's an LA 2 and a Portland 2, and it's cool that MLS is developing their own sort of academy system or whatever, but when you look at that league, you go, do you really care about it? Aside from the fact that you know that somebody could get called up from your teams.
It's one of those things where you look at it and it's like, do you really care about this? Or is this just another experiment / a more broad version of a U23 team, so to say?
It's almost like that, the AAA team that your Major League Baseball team is associated with. You don't give a crap about what they do, but you know that there could be a player that gets called up from there. That's how I kind of look at it.
Yeah, and living in a minor league baseball town, #shrimp season, I will explain that off air. Trust me, it's a very funny situation, but I think that's really the perfect analogy, and this is why I personally say between the USL and the NASL, something's going to give within the next few years. It wouldn't surprise me that if the USL is keeping with this regional kind of focus and mindset, but they're the league that's getting support with MLS as far as with their youth and secondary teams. But you've got the NASL, which you've had teams from the NASL successfully make the move up to MLS. It wouldn't surprise me that I'd say within 3 to 5 years, you see these two merge into some sort of unified D2 league where you get the best of both worlds.
Well, you're going to have to kill some teams. You can have 50 teams in there.
Well, the NASL is only down to 8, and I don't see them expanding anytime soon.
So what's 30? So you're going to have 38-team league?
No, you're not going to have a 38-team league. I'll say that. Yes, you're going to have to cut the fat, or some of the separate MLS Academy teams, like, say, for example, Orlando City B, Red Bulls 2, they're going to have to maybe merge with some other local or nearby teams. That potentially could happen. Not saying it should or shouldn't, but again, seeds are going to start to be planted, in my mind, this season, and that crop will be reaped in a couple of years.
I kind of agree with you there, Erik. I don't know. I just feel like it's too. It's not. There's not enough room for both of them.
No. I mean, I get why USSF doesn't want to intervene again, like they did before the NASL officially got started. But at some point, I think they're going to have to. Because if you're comparing our pyramid to other pyramids around the world, and how MLS wants to be growing in one of those top leagues considered, like with some of these other countries, this is going to have to happen at a lower level.
Rachel, do you think there has to be some kind of MLS is one, you pick between USL and ASL and they take their spot or merge or something, or can they both coexist?
I don't think I know enough on the topic to properly comment on it, but I just see combining teams as one ginormous disaster.
I mean, worst comes to worst, you can take as you said, it would be 38 teams. You could have enough to potentially scrap the NASL and USL in their existing formats, take those 38 teams and say, okay, these are going to be teams in a second division. these are going to be teams in a third division. These are going to be the requirements. These are what you have to do, etc., etc. Yes, it's not like that we're going to be proper enough to come up with the idea of promotion and relegation. Too many corporate heads would explode. But this could be at least something of a compromise in that regard.
You could do promotion and relegation with the second and third division, but it's like, what bonus do you get? You can't get past the second division.
Right, and that's why I say the only way promotion and relegation would work is if MLS would be on board. And MLS will never be on board with it.
Oh, no, not when you're paying those franchise fees, you're not.
Exactly, and the fact that now with spots being coveted, you're commanding even more? No. So you can at least have some sort of setup, and I don't know. You can make something out of this, is basically what I'm getting at.
Speaking of, before we get out of here, Didier Drogba goes on to be a sort of player, coach, owner, whatever the hell, of the Phoenix team over there to possibly increase their chances of getting into MLS. Does this help?
Who the hell does he think he is? George Halas?
George Halas.
Yes. Well, there was also another guy whose name I forget, who was also simultaneously player, coach, and owner of a team in the World Football League back in the mid-'70s. But any league that has pants designated for certain positions on the field, we really don't talk about. But yes. George Halas, at one time, player, coach, and owner of the Chicago Bears. I'm sorry, Didier Drogba, as much as I love you, no, you're not George Halas. Stop it. Go home. You're probably not drunk, but still, no.
Hold on, we've established that he's not George Halas, but does this help Phoenix at all in getting to...
No. Now, if you really want me to get on a tangent about Phoenix as being a sports town and why I personally think they shouldn't even have an NFL team, stay tuned for my show on Wednesday for that, and I'll gladly throw that in. But
wait, hold on, that's the whole state of Arizona, not just Phoenix.
Yeah, but how can I best explain this?
I mean, yes, they used to be the Phoenix Cardinals, but...
Yes, and they used to play at Sun Devil Stadium on the campus of Arizona State University. And Glendale is just a Phoenix suburb, right near that whole Tri-City area they've got going with, from my knowledge, one of the best pizza places locally and in the country, but I've never eaten there. I want to eat there.
Shout out to pizza.
Yeah, Boston's Pizza. If you could work out some arrangement where you can deliver across a couple time zones to Florida, hit me up on Twitter, @SquidSportsHead. We'll negotiate. But aside from that, no. Just no. No.
Wait, now I want to... Now, okay, now you do have to... You need to tweet @SquidSports. I want to see this happen. I want this Boston pizza place to go tweet Erik about, yes, we will get you your pizza.
Now, granted, I can't... I mean, I know your clientele in terms of stoners. I may be able to tip that well, I may not, depending on any mood I'm in or anything I may or may not consume, but that will also be part of the negotiations. I'll throw that out there.
That's great, I'm sorry. Rachel, any thoughts on that? Do you think Phoenix has any shot?
It's a great big world, Sean.
I feel like Drogba's doing this in vain, honestly. San Diego probably has a shot with Donovan before they even look at Phoenix over there with was Phoenix even in the conversation before when they were announcing the 12? I don't even remember Phoenix being in the conversation, so...
No, they weren't, and for good reason. And I mean, honestly, if David Beckham couldn't pull this off, what makes Didier Drogba think he can?
Hold on, David Beckham can't pull it off because he's a stubborn ass. Because they gave him a stadium. He didn't want it.
Yeah, exactly. Does he have any idea any of the logistics? Where would they even play in Phoenix? And you honestly think they're even going to give him a stadium? He's going to have to share something.
He'll have to share the University of Phoenix stadium. At least they have grass. So.
No.
Well, with that, I think we reached the end of the show. Unless Erik wants to keep chanting no for another 20 minutes.
No, at this point, it would be easier for me to make a sign, and that way I could use it to smack the appropriate people upside the head. So we'll see how that progresses in the coming weeks.
Well, I mean, you get MLS Week 8 going on, NWSL Week 2, and whatever else will be happening in the world of U.S. soccer till we get you to next week. But enjoy the footy. Hope you enjoyed the footy from this weekend. You know, you can hit Erik up at Squid Sports Head, Rachel at Rachael McKriger, and I'm at W2M Sean. You know, tweet at us if you enjoy the show, or just to discuss soccer things, or even about pizza with Erik. Who knows? And of course, you go hit that subscribe button on iTunes, Stitcher, wherever, YouTube, wherever it is you listen to us. Hit it so you get us every week. Subscribe to the WTM Network for all of our other great content, podcast-wise, including Erik's, what's it called now?
Point of Viewer.
The Point of Viewer,
Mm-hmm.
the former Foxy and Squid show, and all the stuff that I do. Go check out WTMnet.com, where sometimes you have awesome articles written by Rachel. And, yeah, you know, just keep it tuned on the dial and hit those reviews while you're at it. If you're going to hit a subscribe button, just go in there, hit the 5 stars, and write something awesome about us, hopefully. Now, you can write something negative if you want, whatever, but hopefully it's positive. Anyway, until next week, see you later, everybody.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.